aboard, everybody. Man Child Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital on a Tuesday evening. We're doing a little brunch with Bud. Paul's not with us tonight, so no Boy Green with us tonight, so it'll be me and Bud. And Bud's nice to have you back. We are presented today by Northeast Roofing Professionals. Tonight's video brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it is always love at first slice. And by the way, as we record this video, the NBA draft is literally going on. I think they are like through 10 picks as we speak, but I'll take a quick peek at it, and we will talk a little bit about the draft, despite the fact that we don't have all of the information about the draft. There could be trades that we don't know about. All of a sudden, things that we said in this video, that, a trade happens. So just be aware, folks, as you're listening, that the NBA draft is literally live as we're recording this. So if anything turns out to be dated, just know that we're not dumb, and it's not that we didn't know. It's just that it didn't happen yet. So anyway, we'll get to all of that stuff. But about 10 picks already in the books right now for the NBA draft. But before we get to the NBA draft, Bud, I mean, we haven't talked since my New York Knicks won the NBA championship. So give me your thoughts here. The Knicks pulled it off. It's pretty hard to believe for a lot of us Knicks fans. 53 years of pain now removed. Now we don't have to go, the last time was when Walt Clyde Frazier and Earl Monroe and Marv Albert was calling the games and sounding like this. Yes, it's good. All right. So now we have Bang and Mike Breen, which is a lot nicer.
Bang was introduced to us by Johnny Most.
Okay. All right. So Mike Breen stole that from Johnny
Most?
Yes,
he did.
Didn't know that. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The Knicks are champions. So I know you've watched me and over the years when we were doing the radio show, endure a lot of pain. Patrick Ewing gave us some hope for a while when that supposed frozen envelope was drawn by the Knicks. I still don't believe that conspiracy theory, but
I do.
And yada, yada, yada. But it never netted us a championship. We've gotten to 2 NBA finals since Walt Clyde Frazier won it in 73, but now we make it a third time, and this time it's this Jalen Brunson-led group, the Nova Knicks, some other pieces, Karl Anthony Towns added to the mix, and all of a sudden it all came together, and this just looked like a great team, Bud. So give me your final epitaph, dare I say, on the Knicks winning the title and taking out your Spurs, buddy.
Well, first of all, I do buy into the theory or the notion that this was one of the greatest performances in NBA history. I mean, from soup to nuts, from the beginning of the playoffs to the championship game, this performance, nobody can argue how great it was. It was a great performance. I fall short, however, as most people should, in anointing this team as, it cannot be considered one of the great teams. I mean, I just don't think it can be, but I think you New York nuts are trying to tell us that. It was a great performance. It was a great team. I'll give them that. But in terms of talent and where does it rate in the over the ages? I mean, let's not get crazy here. It was a great run. It was fabulous. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I came to admire them. I really did. I was for the Spurs, but I couldn't bring myself to cheer against Jalen Brunson. They were great. They performed great. But the idea that I guess they're talking about it in the Steve Serby, I guess, down in New York, said something like, this is one of the, I forget, I'm putting words that, I don't remember, but he said something to the effect that it might have been the most magnificent moment in NBA history or something like that, which is typical of you New Yorkers. You elevate things ridiculously.
Yeah, we do.
Somehow a New York victory, in this case the Knicks, is greater than anybody else's victory. As an example, let me ask you this. Let's just say for yucks that the Houston Rockets win the NBA title next year. That'll be their third championship too. Okay. Will there be anything resembling, wow, they've now won it for the third time? And they would have done it in three times in 20 years. And your people did it 3 times in 53. But that's comparing apples to apples. A nice franchise with something of a history will have won its third championship next year. And nobody would ever breathe a syllable that this Houston Rockets team deserve, some sort of monumental place in history. So that That's that. Now, on the other side of it, if you're the San Antonio Spurs and you're an objective NBA follower, you have to say that, look, we got beat. We got beat. I know we led 75% of the time. I know we had a 10-point lead in every first quarter and every fourth quarter and still managed to only win once. But that's it. They came back. The Knicks, beat us. But anybody who watched those games knows that that team was not ready to win close games against a team like the Knicks. That coach was not ready to make the decisions that needed to be made. And I'm not going to say they choked. I should say this. I don't want to say they choked, but they did. They had it. They lost it. I know they got beat. I know the other team won, but I think, and through a Seattle lens, they have to say they lost. We, the Spurs, lost versus they, the Knicks, won. I don't know if that's entirely true, but I could see why they would feel that way. They could have won. I know you hate that. They could have won in 4 or 5 games. They could have won in 4. They could have swept them. They certainly could have won in 5. They didn't. They couldn't. Next year we'll see. Next year we'll see. And if you're going to sit there and tell me that you think the Knicks should be the favorites or the co-favorites next year, come on. Stay in the saddle. Stay in the saddle.
Bud, this is exactly the way we love it. With all of the doubters out there not being the favorites,
nobody's
flying
doubting
under the radar. Flying under the radar. We did it all year this year. We'll do it again next year, my friend.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say that you're right. Let's say that we're all doubters, and boy, like Jalen Brunson, I hate it when these guys start saying nobody believed this.
Your girl Becky Hammond said this little guards don't win. They can't win. She's getting hammered for that, by the way, by the New York fans.
I'm going to ask you, why should anybody have believed in them? They hadn't won in 53 years. So when people say, boy, they didn't believe in us, no, we didn't. That makes your achievement that much more spectacular.
Sure.
The idea that somehow the people who said they can't win, they won't win, are somehow to be scorned. When you go 53 years without winning, of course no one's going to believe you until you do it. Why is that such a bad thing? It's a fact.
Yeah,
it's like when everybody went nuts. It's like when everybody went nuts because Joe McNamara was overrated. Remember the whole overrated thing? He was overrated. That doesn't diminish what he did in that tournament in the Big East. He was overrated. He was preseason player of the year in the conference. He finished nowhere near player of the year status. Ergo, he was overrated. Why are you mad at that? That's a fact. He had a great career. He had a great Big East run. He was overrated. All that can be true at once. No, we didn't believe in the Knicks, and we had every reason not to believe in the Knicks. I cede the floor.
All right. What I would say is this. I agree with your basic sentiment that the Knicks, from a roster perspective, from the players themselves and their individual achievements, this is not one of the all-time great teams. I mean, it's ridiculous. We've had teams with superstar players, like all-time Hall of Famers, Kareem teams and Wilt teams and, and on and on. All right. Celtic teams that had, multiple, Hall of Famers, in the starting lineup. I totally get it. All right. But I would say this about the Knicks, and I think this is where they get sold short. You're right to say, and I agree with the statement, this is not one of the all-time great teams from a personnel perspective. You don't look at look at all these great players. But what I will argue for is that we talk all the time in sports, Bud, okay, as people who comment on sports, okay, about, players not being selfish, players, essentially coming together for a singular goal. And what is the singular goal in sports? It's to win, and it's to win championships, right? And here come these Knicks. And okay, they don't have multiple Hall of Famers on this roster in all likelihood. I don't think a lot of these guys are going to the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure any of them are going to go to the Hall of Fame. Maybe Jalen Brunson will eventually if he continues doing what he's doing. But, but they are very comparable to the 1970 and 1973 Knicks
Oh my
that
God.
were, in
Stop
this
it.
sense, just I know you hate when I go back there, but I just go back there because again, you know, that was a great team, you know, and I think that this is a great team. In other words, that they all work together for the same thing. So it really depends on what your definition of great team is. If you're talking about, you know, great individual players and incredible achievements and Hall of Famers all on the same roster, well, that's not what this is. But that doesn't make them less as a unit. And I think they are a fantastic unit. And those 13 wins in a row, second all time in NBA playoff history, beyond those Celtic teams. Only one that's in front of them that won more games in a row in the playoffs are the Golden State Warriors. That's it. One Golden State Warrior team won more games in a row than the Knicks. And the double-digit wins, okay? The numbers are astounding. They, as a unit, performed incredibly in this year's NBA Plus, and you just can't take that from them. So that's my pushback. That's my argument back.
Well, first of all, I think I said something like that in the start of my rant.
You did.
I think I said that.
You did.
So
But then you slammed them, so I couldn't let you get away with it.
That's what I was talking about. Their performance was you know, it was inarguable. They were great. They played great. But when you like just the gall of you saying that when you talk about this team, oh boy, this glorious team, you got to go back to the Knicks in 70 and 73. Oh, we're going to skip right over the Celtics. We're going to skip right over the Bulls. We're going to skip right over the Lakers. The last team, whether it's the Knicks in the 70 and 73, you guys are you have such audacity when you talk about your Knicks, and you dare to compare them to who? Other Knicks teams. You people are crazy.
That's our only comparison, I guess. Well, who would they compare to? All right, let me ask you the question. All right, as a non-Knicks centric guy. All right, forget about 70 and 73 in the Knicks. This group reminds you of who? A former champion. What former champion does this Knicks team remind you of?
And coming out of nowhere, and you'll never have read this or heard this anywhere. This is off the top of my head.
Yeah.
In the idea of coming out of nowhere and having a great player, and then everybody kind of took their place around the great player. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you the team. You can look this up because you don't even know this yourself.
Okay.
And I don't remember the year, but I'm going to say it was in the 70s. Mid 70s.
So look at you going all the way back to the 70s to find a team.
You asked me who this reminded. No, you asked me who this reminded you of. The idea that a bunch of guys around.
That's what I'm asking. That's my question.
And coming out of nowhere. And who would have thought it? Mm-hmm. Look up the Golden State Warriors of Rick Barry when they took out the Washington Bullets of Wes Unseld in 4 games. And nobody, nowhere, no how thought the Warriors were going to win. And they won in 4 games behind Rick Barry and a bunch of guys.
Okay.
The Knicks came out of nowhere to win in 5 games behind a great player, Jalen Brunson, no doubt about that, and a bunch of guys. All right. Mm-hmm. That Warriors team was great in the moment, but you never heard from them again. And I'm not saying you never hear from these guys, but to elevate them. All right. I don't want to repeat myself, but I'll also answer your question. The Bulls teams, the Celtic teams, any Celtic era, the Lakers teams with Kareem and James Worthy and Irvin Johnson and that bunch. Really? You're going to try and think this Knicks team plays with any of those teams? Really? Come on now. What they did was tremendous. But that's all it was. It was a tremendous run, and they're to be lionized for the tremendous run. Okay. But to say that they belong among the greats, and I don't know that you're saying that. I'm not accusing you of that, but some people are.
I'm not.
Okay. But this idea that, whoa, what a team. I tell you, they're not the New York franchise is not the only franchise to figure out how to play as a unit, as to how to play as a team.
I get it. You know, maybe that should be the phraseology on this.
What's that?
This is an incredible unit that won this thing.
Okay, I can live with that.
So we're not saying incredible team because then we're talking about, the great Celtics and the great Lakers and all the great players and the Hall of Famers.
It was a great unit that played majestically. You're talking to a person, I don't like the Knicks, but during that, and I like the Spurs. During that series, I liked the Knicks. I wasn't cheering for them, but I respected them. I admired them. That's pretty good. That's pretty good to get a non-Nick person to say, "Hey, I'm okay with this."
Well, you should have been cheering for him. Even Boy Green was cheering for him, and he's a Celtic honk. All right, let's
one more.
You
And
go.
I'm done.
All right.
Wembanyama. Okay, great. The alien, he's everything there is. Okay, I'm not going to argue, but I am going to argue this. If you're 7'5", give or take, and you're taking jump shots, you might as well be 6'5".
I know. I totally agree. Yes.
What is good is it being a 7'5" freak and taking jump shots? If I'm the Knicks, I'm loving it. Please
keep shooting. I know. I loved it.
I
loved it that on that OG Anunoby tip-in, Victor Wembanyama was guarding Jalen Brunson on the perimeter.
Right.
I mean, to me, you want to talk about mistakes that I thought Mitch Johnson made, and I understand there was a switch there and it was off an inbounds play, but still, that's a horrific thing to do. What, you're going to force him out a little further on the three, which is he did. He took a longer three, but Brunson's going to get it up over the guy, one way or the other. He's just going to put more arc on the shot. Wouldn't you rather have the 7'5" guy underneath just in case?
Right.
That thing doesn't go in and somebody's lingering, right? And they did. And he comes off the inbounds and he swoops right in there. And you're like, Wemby's behind him. He can't do anything about it. And there's this guy rising above everyone else. Wembanyama doesn't even have to jump. And he's higher than Anunoby is on that tip-in. But Anunoby, at full leaping capacity with a running start, gets a hand above those other pretty good leapers around him, and he manages to tip that ball in. And my whole thought was, well, that was amazing. But what was Wembanyama doing out there? Crazy.
Well, another thing, too, is every basketball coach from CYO right up to the Knicks and the Spurs will tell you that the inbounder
is the most dangerous guy, right?
You got to go find him. You can't let him just inbound the ball and then forget about him. That's basketball 101, and that cost them maybe cost them the championship. But anyway.
That's crazy. All right, the NBA draft is going on literally as we speak, Bud. So I'm going to jump over here to the page and just see where we are at the moment. So as we speak, 13 picks have been made. And so here we go with the NBA draft. But let's just talk about the guys at the very top. It kind of went chalk. AJ DeBonza went number one, the forward from BYU. He was the leading scorer in the NCAA last year in college basketball. Very versatile player. Again, another young. All these guys are ridiculously young too, most of them freshmen. Darren Peterson, the controversial guy from Kansas who, was having some injuries and then was pulling himself out of games, and that led to a lot of, I don't know about this guy. All right, but nobody argues about his talent. He's an ultra-talented player. People think he can be a very, very good NBA player as long as his head's screwed on right. And then Cam Boozer went number 3. So we'll just go through just those 3 guys. No surprises at the top. But just give me, your first blush on this year's NBA draft and those 3 guys going at the top.
Well, I can't pretend to have a lot of knowledge other than what you've read, I've read, everybody's read. No surprise. I think Peterson is, he is a risk. So he's either.
You're worried about his character too, aren't you?
That's what I mean. Yeah, he's either.
I am too. To be honest with you, given the choice, I don't think I'd take him up there. I really would. Now, if he falls to 5 or 6, and I'm picking 5th or 6th, okay, now I'm going to jump on that because the risk might be worth the reward. But I think when I have a primo top pick, and there are, they're saying 7 or 8 guys they think at the top of this draft that could be guys, they all have the chance to be the guy. I don't think I roll the dice on that guy just based on what we saw in college. It scares me too much. You're investing too much in the player to do that.
And he already goes in with an attitude that if I'm not number 1, I'm going to be upset.
Right. Again,
I'm not going to interview with anybody, blah, blah, blah. He's a freshman in college. He's played a minimal amount of college games. Mm-hmm. So I'd go with Boozer. The only thing I could say about the 3 is that I recognize what everybody's saying about him. I've seen him ball play, not a lot, but anybody who's followed basketball knows these guys and has watched them play. And they're really good college players. But the guy I would have taken at 2 would be Boozer. I would not have taken I wouldn't have taken anybody but Boozer at number 2.
Yeah,
so
I think I agree with you.
We'll see. We'll see where that all leads.
Time will tell, right? Time will tell. Also, Caleb is, let me get his name right. I don't want to mess up a name here. Yeah, Caleb Wilson. Yep, the forward from North Carolina. He went 4th. And he's a guy that a lot of people think could be a superstar in the NBA as well.
Let's remember that somebody between 5 and 15, there's going to be
Might
a
be the
really
best
good.
guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
might
that's
be the
right.
best guy.
That's
We
right.
see it all the time.
That's
Steph Curry, it went at 7. I was looking at a list yesterday. It's not coming to me right now, but
Well,
I mean, just
how about Jokic?
ridiculous. Jokic, right? What was he? He was,
I think it's 20th or something like that. I
yeah,
don't know what.
he's later
Giannis,
first round.
wasn't Giannis 15th or something? I
Yeah,
don't know.
Giannis
We
was
don't have
later
this in front
also.
of us.
Yes.
But the point of the matter is, there's a lot of people who went
Absolutely
lower than top 3 and 4 and 5. So,
all right. So we always think these are going to be the studs, and then
well,
we get 3-4 years down the road, and we're like, "Whoa,
where'd your
what
boy
happened?"
Brunson get?
Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think he was 11 or something in the draft.
Where did your boy Brunson?
Brunson, second round.
Yeah. See, so
Second round. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. Now we know. Again, these scouts are wonderful, but they don't have crystal balls. And then they look at the things that they can look at, and now they're including all kinds of analytics, and it still isn't doing any better.
Right.
Still the guy picking 8th, the guy coming 8, landing 8th, the guy landed 11th, the guy landed 21st, the guy landed in the second round was still getting superstars in those other spots. So it's not like gotta have a top 3 pick or I'm not getting a guy. Not true.
Let me tell you something. The scouts, I think they're overrated, frankly. I mean, they know what they know, but they have a pack mentality. Very few of them are going to go out of the whatever the consensus is. They're just not going to go out on a limb. So when they say, "Oh, not you," but when people say, "Oh, the scouts all love this guy," well, that's easy. I could love the guys they love. What I need from a scout is who you going to get in basketball from the 15th pick on. You got to go find me Manu Ginobili, like somebody did. Okay, heck, go find in the other way Anthony Edwards. Ant was he was number 1, I think, but a lot of people were like, what what's the deal there? Well, guess what? That's good scouting, because they took somebody who wasn't like the wonder boy, and then they find people like Jokic somewhere down below when other people were saying, I'm not taking it, he's just a big lug from Serbia or something. So I think scouts, painting with a broad brush, just do what the guy to the left and the guy to the right, what they believe, and then that's what they all hunt down. So
if you were an NBA GM, would you walk in the room as Billy Beane did in the movie Moneyball and say, no. So you want to talk about? None of them. You just said, none of them. Here, let me throw a name in it. Then you write a name down with your Sharpie, throw it on the board. Scott Hatteberg. Scott Hatteberg. He sounds like an A.
Scotty Hatteberg, right?
He can't throw. He can't throw the ball. His arm is shot. He's a catcher. We're not going to play him at catcher. We're going to play him at first base.
He gets on base.
First base. He's never played first base. You can teach him.
Yeah.
Fantastic scene. Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't want to demean him completely, but I just want to say that I don't think that because the scouts say this means a whole lot, because they all very rarely do they break form. Okay. I mean, look in football, Ryan Leaf. Everybody said Ryan Leaf or Manning.
Yep, I know.
And Ryan Leaf was an absolute
one was great,
disaster.
One was a complete bust. Yeah.
But everybody, it's Ryan Leaf. It's Ryan Leaf. Come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's true. So, I mean, you could go, Grady, you don't know anything. You know, you don't know. Right?
Yeah.
That was the lead scout in Moneyball. I think his name was Grady. Grady, you don't know.
Yeah.
You think you know, you don't know. You don't know. And they're like, oh, that's just because you are such a disappointment. No, you don't know.
And remember, look where Tom Brady was drafted. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Look where Mike Piazza was drafted. Where are the great, where are these great heady scouts when it comes to Mike Piazza and Tom Brady?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. The kid in San Francisco, Mr. Irrelevant. He's a quarterback now, making $50 million a year. Mr. Irrelevant. The scouts, come on, guys. Come on. Yes. Let's get over yourselves. You're not that insightful.
Yeah, Brock Purdy you're talking about, man.
Brock Purdy, I'm sorry, Brock Purdy.
Okay, all right. Enough on the NBA draft, which is still going on as we speak. We'll have a full breakdown with Sean Devaney, our NBA insider, on Friday, folks, if you want more on the NBA draft. But before we move on past the NBA, Bud, the Giannis trade happened today. How shocked are you that the Bucks did move Giannis? They got some picks. They got some players. It was the Miami Heat, Pat Riley, making another big splash move here, getting Giannis. My understanding was the Celtics were in. They were offering Jaylen Brown and some picks, and they said, no, we're going to take all this buffet table here that Pat Riley is offering us, 3 established players plus a bunch of picks. So went to the highest bidder.
Well, first of all, if the Celtics have made the move, in the long run, it probably wouldn't have been a good move because Brown would have been gone, and he's really good. But in the short term, if you're going to put Tatum and Giannis together, that's the best 1-2 punch in basketball. And I think the Knicks are breathing a sigh of relief that Giannis went to Miami and not to Boston.
I agree.
But I do think that it was a great move for both teams. I mean, the Bucks were done. They were not going to win with Giannis. He didn't want to be there anymore. So that I think they got more. They got an awful lot for a guy who he's older now. He's injury prone now. They weren't winning with him, not because it wasn't his fault, but they weren't winning with him.
And have a good roster around him.
So, hey, it's a great thing to get rid of him and get what they got.
Yeah.
And Miami now has a chance. They have a chance. They're not the Knicks, they're not the Celtics, and they're certainly not the Thunder or the Spurs. But we just saw what can happen if you catch fire in the postseason. And with Giannis and Bam, they can catch fire. So I think it's a great deal for both teams, frankly.
Man-Child Show with Boyd Green Digital at MC Show Digital. You see our handle right there, youtube.com/@MC Show Digital. Please hit the like button if you're already a subscriber. And if you're not, please subscribe to the channel. It's absolutely free. We are approaching 1,000 subscribers and we need your help. So tell your friends, tell your family. If you like the content that we're delivering to you, please subscribe to the channel. It's super easy. And like I said, absolutely free. We are presented tonight by our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals, NERPCNY.com. Today's video brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, where it's always love at first slice. 30 seconds from Cam's, then we're back. We're going to talk some baseball and Bud with a legal take, I suppose, on this Brendan Sorsby situation, which continues to baffle us all. We'll do that when we return.
When you think of Cam's Pizzeria, think about two of your favorites, their zesty buffalo chicken wing pizza or their tasty chicken bacon ranch. Over 16 specialty pizzas made fresh daily with the best ingredients. Indulge in their homemade calzones, subs, wraps, salads, and their famous cannolis for dessert. They're all made with love just for you. Order online for 10% off at camspizza.com. Locations in Camillus and Oswego. Cam's Pizzeria. It's love at first slice.
Finding the right local roofing company can be tricky. You don't want to hire the wrong roofers, or you could end up spending a fortune on repairs. The pros at Northeast Roofing Professionals can ensure your home is protected by a strong and sturdy roof. Locally owned and operated, over 30 years experience, free estimates, and competitively priced. Don't settle for an inexperienced roofing contractor. Turn to Northeast Roofing Professionals. Discounts for military and first responders. Reach out and let them put a sturdy roof over your head. NERPCNY.com. NERPCNY.com.
All right, we are back. Man-Child Show with Boyd Green Digital at MC Show Digital. Again, brought to you by our friends at Cam's Pizzeria, love at first slice. Presented by our friends at Northeast Roofing Professionals. All right, Bud, the Brendan Sorsby soap opera continues. The latest now is that the NFL, now this kid decides he's going to apply for and hopefully be the only participant in what they call the NFL supplemental draft. The last time, by the way, that this draft even happened was 2019. All right, well, the NFL takes his, he sends his application in on time. There's deadlines for this stuff. He sends in his paperwork, and the NFL reads it, and they say, yeah, you know what? We're not going to have a supplemental draft. Therefore, you can't enter a draft that we're not having. And by the way, your paperwork also was incomplete in many, many ways. So this has been the early progress. And of course, now lawyers getting heavily involved on Sorsby's side, saying they're going to try to sue the NFL because you can't do this. So give me a thought here, Bud, about what's going on with Brendan Sorsby and the NFL making the decision that they are going another year without a supplemental draft.
Well, again, I missed my day at law school when we discussed this, so I don't have any legal footing here.
Okay.
But it just seems to me that the annual draft has come and gone. And the supplemental draft is just that. It seems that it's something that they do under certain circumstances. They don't do it every year, as you obviously pointed out. Haven't done it for 7 years now, something like that. So if the NFL, and I don't know legally if they can do it, I don't know why they can't do it, but some legal scholar will explain why. If they can't do it, but I don't know why the league can't say it's our league. We haven't had a supplemental draft in 6 or 7 years now. We don't have one every year, and we're not going to have one this year. Young Sorsby, if you want to make yourself available next year, We can't stop anybody from drafting whoever they want to draft. They can draft Lurch and Poliquin next year if they want to.
Right.
So you do what you have to do this year, wherever you play, if you play, and we'll see you in next year's draft. No harm, no foul. We'll see you then. We're not throwing you out of the league. We're just not having a draft right now. The draft is come and gone. You didn't declare for it. We didn't draft you. See you later. I don't know why this is a big deal, but again, a lawyer might explain why it is. But even if they explain to him, I still wouldn't be able to understand why the league can't do what the league wants to do. It's their league. Those are their rules. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they can't draft you. Maybe they can't draft me. But I don't know why they couldn't next year. We'll take 2 old guys who've never played football. But, it's our draft and it's our choice. They want to take Sorsby, who's a gambler, didn't break any. Again, I'm not sure he broke any NFL law rules. I don't think he broke any societal rules. So, somebody can draft them next year. What do I know? But that's what I think.
Okay, enough on Brendan Sorsby. We'll see what ends up happening. The legal mumbo jumbo continues on that front. This is an interesting one, Bud. We typically do talk a little baseball, but we'll just delve into this. You and I were speaking before the video as we discussed some of the topics we're going to be hitting in this video, and you asked me to do something, and so I went and did it. And literally, since we've done it, by the way, Bud, another story has popped up that is going to even further accentuate this whole thing. Let me just put on my spectacles here for a second so that I can read these headlines properly. So Bud said to me, what is going on with baseball? For crying out loud, every time I go to the ESPN baseball homepage on their website at ESPN.com MLB, all right, I read the top headlines, and like 5 of the 6 headlines or 6 of the 7 headlines are all about players being injured. And your question to me was, what is going on in baseball? The whole world is injured, and it's all these soft tissue injuries. So I said, well, let me just go.
Yeah, I just said, just take a look today. I didn't even look at today. I did.
Go look. Right. You didn't look. You just said, go take a look today. Right. So I pop back up. The headlines have changed a little since before we started the video when we were having our little pre-production meeting. All right. But here are the current headlines. All right. So there'll be some that aren't, but look at the list of how many of these headlines are injury related. All right. So the first one is Devers apologized to Vitello, a misunderstanding. So there's something going on with Rafael Devers. All right. Devers. Mets watch Soto depart versus Cubs with tight back. Bud, that's a new addition. All right. So Juan Soto out of the lineup during the game with the Cubs tonight with a tight back. All right. Twins GM, no plans to deal all-star outfielder Buxton. Okay. There's a legit story. David Stern saying there's still time for the Mets to contend this season. All right. Phillies scratch Schwarber due to back tightness. Right. Royals Reagans likely to have surgery on elbow. Okay. So those are the headlines as we speak at the moment. So more than or around half of the headlines are about injuries. My goodness.
But earlier when you read it before the show,
even more, right? It
was 5 of the first
5 of 6. Yeah.
And it's just going on all the time. And again, we're finding that this is, we got oblique muscles. I don't even know what that is. We've got hamstrings everywhere. We got back spasms. We've got tightness in the back. I'm not at all saying that these guys are faking it. What I am saying is that there is such an abundance of caution these days by owners, general managers, agents, coaches and managers and players.
Right.
Everybody seems to me, from my seat way in the bleachers, to be abundantly cautious, more so than maybe from the bleachers seems as necessary.
Yeah.
Everybody's going down. 2 nights ago, Pena, the shortstop for the Houston Astros, took a swing, and he starts limping around. He just a swing and a miss. He's just swinging around, and he's got a hammy. And now he leaves the game. And now I don't know how long he's out. He swung at a ball, and he missed it. And again, these people are perfect. They're beautiful athletic specimens. But I still think that what we need to take a look at is their training. How much of this is weightlifting, weight training driven, as opposed to baseball training driven? I mean, people back in the day, dare I say, you never, Willie Mays, Hank Aaron, these people, Clemente, whoever, name it. They don't have to be stars. Name anybody. They never got hurt, and they were all 5'11", 190 pounds. These guys all today are 6'3", 220, And I don't know if the body, the way they build the body up, is being built up in the way that's conducive to baseball. And, they hit the ball far these days, and they throw the ball real hard these days. But can they stay healthy these days? I don't know if there's a correlation or not. But there, I said it.
All right. Before we end with a little bit of a fun topic that Boy Green and I are going to be doing a piece of on tomorrow morning's live show, the Wednesday live show. But there is a local guy for people who are in the central New York, Syracuse area that we lost in the last few days, a few days ago, I should say. He is a legend here in central New York. He is a member of the Greater Syracuse Sports Hall of Fame. But his real contribution to our society was he opened a boxing center that basically helped get kids off the street and taught them not only the sport of boxing, but also the thing called life. That guy's name is Ray Rinaldi. I have interviewed him before. You have written various pieces about him over the years and have probably interviewed him many more times than me. So give me your thoughts about Ray Rinaldi passing here, a guy that really did a lot for a lot of people here in central New York.
We in the media have a right to like some people. We're supposed to be objective, and I think for the most part we certainly try to be, and in many cases I think we succeed. But we are free to like people, and I like Ray Rinaldi. He and I were buddies almost. I mean, we got along, and it's funny because when we started, he didn't like me at all, and it all stemmed from he had a guy named oh come on, Matt Farrago. Matt Farrago was his fighter. Matt Farrago, nice. If he's out there listening, Matt Farrago was a good guy. I don't know what's happened to him, but he was a good guy. So Ray was training the guy. He was his trainer, his manager. So he's fighting at the War Memorial against some, veteran fighter, and the veteran fighter clearly wins the bout. Clearly wins the bout, and yet it's called, it was a hometown decision. They got a draw.
A draw, okay.
And it was a robbery. It was crazy. It was so crazy that the opposing. I wrote a thing. It's in a okay. He was laughing about it. He was upset but laughing. He says, hometown. I've been around long enough that it's really hard to win in somebody's hometown. And so I wrote all that. I said, it was a ripoff. It was, Farrago's a nice kid, but he didn't win the fight.
Yeah.
And Matt has to know that, and Ray Rinaldi has to know that, and so on. Well,
Ray didn't like that, did he? I didn't know that. That's how your relationship with Ray Rinaldi started, Bud. Writing a controversial piece in the newspaper here in Syracuse. My goodness.
Well, for a long, long time, he didn't like.
He wouldn't give you the time of day, huh?
Not at all. Not at all. But then it ended up we became really good buddies, and it he was just a nice man, is what he was, and what he did too. And I'm going to take this is really I'm going to be a jerk about this because it sounds like I'm the hero of the piece, and I don't mean to say that, but I'm going to say something that makes me I'm going to look like an arrogant jerk. Okay. But when Ray and I finally figured each other out and decided, boy, we like each other, and I said, Ray, boxing is. Come on, knock it off. It's just people slugging each other.
You don't like boxing. Oh, no. Oh, my goodness. Bud, you're about to ruin this relationship that you just got underway.
At that point, it's just a nice conversation.
Okay.
He would defend it, and I would back it. And I said, don't give me that stuff. It's the idea is to hurt the other guy, to hit the other guy, and not get hit as often as the other guy. I mean, break it down. That's what, oh, no, it's teaches discipline, all that. I say, okay, you know what you did? Yeah, I'll become a big fan of this place, meaning his gyms. He ended up having a couple of gyms. If you make this into something a little bit more than just boxing, and sure enough, thereafter he went out and hustled, and he got computers in there, and it became kind of a
center.
A center. Boxing was the center of the center, but he also had classrooms. He had computers, and he stressed. He was always teaching about life, but he's actually stressing too. Nuts and bolts of knowledge, of education, of pursuit of knowledge, of, hey, there's nothing wrong with excelling in the classroom as well as in the boxing ring. And so I'm kind of dare I say, proud, and it sounds like arrogant that, I converted him. I didn't convert him. We talked, and something out of these talks.
He actually thought you had a good idea.
He thought I had a good idea, and he put the good idea to work. But
He implemented it.
He implemented it. I just talked.
Mhm.
And so that's what I really appreciate about him, that he was still loyal to boxing, but he came to understand that, you might have something here, that it's
Open
not
to
just
ideas.
it's not just a punch to the jaw that I should be teaching. I should say punch the guy in the jaw all you want, but then why don't you get the computer and learn how to read, write, and write well and express yourself, blah blah blah. So
And he did. He got a lot of
Yeah.
a lot of kids in some rough neighborhoods here in central New York and Syracuse off the streets and focused on boxing, which requires a lot of discipline.
right, no
And
question.
like you said, outside of boxing, the idea that, you can do more with your life. So
That's right.
he just, there are a lot of families and a lot of young people some of whom are much older now, that owe, the regeneration of their life to Ray Rinaldi.
And I think that too often when we think of Ray Rinaldi and when we honored Ray Rinaldi, it was predominantly, oh boy, what a great boxing genius he is, and so boxing guru, and he was.
Mhm. Yeah.
But he came to understand, and I think he imparted it. You're not going to go far as a boxer. You may go far with the discipline you learn from boxing,
Yeah.
but
Right.
you'll go just as far or farther if you get serious in the classroom. And
Yeah.
here I'm going to help you with these computers and these worksheets and all that sort of thing. So a big fan of his, and but I don't mourn his passing because he lived. I think he was 94.
That's
He
a very long life.
he lived a good long life, and we none of us get out alive. None of us get out of life alive, and I hope I get 94 good years, and he had
Yeah.
94 mostly good ones, and
Yeah.
he lived his life well. And certainly he'll be missed, but I don't have sorrow when I think of him. I'm not sad. I say I'm glad I met him, and I'm
Yeah.
glad we
Glad I met
crossed paths.
He's a good dude, really good dude. I'd hate to go from
Yep.
such a serious story to levity, but we are going to do something fun on the live show tomorrow, Wednesday morning at 11. Me and Boy Green, we would just got into something on the Monday live show, and it led down this primrose path to me making a comment about, like, boy, I wonder, it would be fun to make a list of the movies that you've watched the most times over and over again, with the most frequency. And then as I was saying that to Boy Green, he was getting so inspired. He was starting to make his list on a piece of it. So he pulled out a pad and he's like, oh, I got another one. Oh, I got another one. I was like, we're having a conversation. He said, no, wait, I have another one. So he just took to this thing, and people were jumping in the comments in our live show, throwing in ideas and thoughts. And so then he said, by the end of the show, I said, well, I guess we ought to do this now because you've created your list. I got to sit down now and create my list. But I said this about the list that I'm going to create, and I would assume Boy Green is under the same, parameters. This is not about you making your top 10 greatest movies you've ever seen list. Maybe I put like Schindler's List, on that list. I mean, a great movie written about a serious theme that is a very meaningful thing, So, I mean, there are great movies that aren't even going to come close to making this list. Ones that I would put in my top 5, my top 10 all-time movies that are not going to make my most watched movies list, because we don't watch movies repetitively that are necessarily great movies. There's just something about them or something in them that makes us go, I could get a little more out of that, or I'd love to watch that again, or that's silly enough to make me laugh right now and I feel like laughing. So, Bud, you're not going to get to do the big lists with us tomorrow. I'm going to name 10, and Boy Green's going to name 10, and we're going to rank them. We're going to see if we have any movies in common, which I don't think we will. But if I just had to ask you to make like a top 3 list of movies you've watched with the most frequency. Again, this is not the greatest movies in your life. That's not the idea here. It could be dumb, stupid, silly movies. What would you put near the top of your list?
All right. So here's the thing. Truth and honesty and all that matter.
To do it. I said, when I make my list, there are going to be some embarrassing movies on this list, and I know it.
No. What I mean is that you did mention this in our pre-production meeting.
I did mention it to you. Yes.
And during this show, while we're talking, people
you're writing them down. Oh my God!
Right,
like Paul, you were writing them down. Okay.
So here we go. This is again only what I've thought about during the show. You guys have a little more time, and so what we're going to exclude, and you should exclude this. I think you should exclude holiday movies, because if you watch Wonderful Life every year,
Right.
or Elf
Okay.
every year. You
Well,
know,
I don't have any holiday on my list, and I will mention that to Boy Green. I do not think he'll have a holiday movie on his
yeah.
list.
So I have not included holiday things. So anyway, here you go. I got 12. Okay.
You
So
wrote 12 down. This is
this-
remarkable. I was going to ask you just for like your top 3.
yeah.
You wrote
And I'm not gonna
12
go.
movies down. Oh my God.
I'm just going to list them. I'm not going to describe.
Okay,
why.
not in order.
Yeah.
No, in no particular order. Here's
No
12
particular order.
movies
No.
that Bud has watched at a sickening rate. And before I even say this, Bud is someone that loves to rinse and repeat things. And let me tell you, folks, I'm going to ask him this question. I've asked him this many times on the air, but for any of you who have never watched the podcast, how many times have you seen Les Miserables? Bud is a theater guy. He's a thespian, we call him. How many times have you seen Les Mis?
It's 30 plus times.
Okay, over 30 times. And how many times have you seen Phantom of the Opera?
That'd be 30 plus times.
Okay, so you're getting the point, folks. This is a guy that likes to go back to things if he likes them. Okay, and he is a thespian, and he loves plays, and he loves musicals in particular, and he will go back over and over. And he's not done. He's going to see Les Mis another 30 times, probably.
I'm going to see this. Folks, go to certain stage.
He's got it already.
This Christmas season. Anyway.
Okay, but this is movies that you just repetitively watch for whatever reason. Okay, lay it on us.
Okay, from the olden days, there's 3: The Wizard of Oz, obviously, To Kill a Mockingbird, I think, obviously, and then my favorite Western, maybe, The Magnificent Seven, the original, not with Denzel Washington.
I actually saw that recently because you had told me to go watch that, and I went and watched it.
And then the recent guilty pleasures would be.
Yeah, let's get out of the black and white era and into the color era now, Bud. Okay.
Okay. The guilty pleasures would be Taken with what's his name?
Liam Neeson.
Very
good one.
And The Equalizer with
Equalizer with Denzel.
With
Okay,
Denzel.
Bud's an Equalizer guy. Ooh, he kills guys in like the most bloody, nasty ways. Ooh, that's a rough movie when it comes to gore. Bud, into some gore. I did not know this about you. What else?
And then, just in kind of a cool adventure-y sort of movie, Castaway with Tom
Castaway,
Hanks.
okay. That's a good one. Mm-hmm.
And then the sports ones, are The Natural, Rocky, Field of Dreams, A League of Their Own. And then the last one would be on the list, kind of the 2 of them would be Indiana Jones, the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Braveheart. With what's his name, Russell Crowe. So those are
Braveheart is Mel Gibson.
Not Russell Crowe. He was Equalizer. I mean, he was the Gladiator.
Yep.
What's his name? Come on. Who is the Braveheart? It's Scottish.
Yeah. I just said so. Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. I'm sorry. I'm blacking out. So those are 12. And they kind of go all for a lot of the different genres. I don't have a straight up comedy there now.
How about a comedy, Bud? No comedies on your list? How about a rom-com, man? Don't you and the lovely?
Well,
is there a rom-com that you've watched over and over again? My goodness, like 3 or 4 on my list are rom-coms.
Well, okay, my rom-com entry would be probably Sleepless in Seattle.
Okay. Top of the Empire State Building. You like that?
Yeah, that's it. And back in the day, what's her name?
Meg Ryan.
Meg Ryan was, America's Sweetheart.
Harry Met Sally. That's not on your list.
That was a good one, but you said 10.
Yes,
so,
I get it. I know the list can be so much longer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it'd be interesting. I don't know if you would. I get it. Actually, email this to you, and then you can compare it with Boy Green tomorrow. But it'll be interesting to see if you guys choose any of mine, if I've chosen any of yours. So.
Okay.
We'll see.
I don't want to give away any of the ones that are on my list at all, whether I have anything in common with Bud or not. I do not believe that I will have a single movie in common with Boy Green. There's no way. His taste and what he gravitates, and then his generation, it just doesn't, it's square peg round hole. It just, I asked him about the movie, like, here's a movie. I don't think this is going to end up on my list, but I just mentioned him at the end of the show, Bud. I go, Dave. The movie Dave, and he just stared blankly at me, and I'm like, "You have no clue what that movie even is, what that movie's about, right?"
That was a good one.
Okay, and I mentioned it's Kevin Kline. He plays a double for the president and ends up being the president, and because the president, it's a whole crazy thing.
If you tell him this, and if he dares to put Rudy on his list, I might
be on his list.
I
could be on his list.
My resignation will be on your desk in the morning.
Okay.
Right? No. All right. Well, this is great. It's been
Okay.
a delight as always.
Yes.
I'll send you this list. Just
Okay.
sure.
Sure. Sounds
And
good.
all right, I will. We'll talk next week. Enjoy the
All
show
right.
tomorrow.
Thank you, Arthur. So that'll put a wrap on our Brunch with Bud. Bud will be back again with us next week.